can you tell us a bit more? What is the role of an audit in a Big Four company, and what are the skills required for an audit to have before getting hired, and what are the skills that they'll develop after they get hired?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll start high level and go into the detail.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, auditing or assurance is about providing confidence, in the capital markets. And when I say capital markets, I mean, stock markets, the bond markets and stuff like that. If you think about some of the largest companies, think about Tesla or Facebook. How do you know that Elon, as an investor, how do you know that Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg aren't making up those numbers, in the accounts? I'm not saying they are, of course, but essentially the role of audit is to take that information in the financial statements published by the company, the profits, the expenses, the balance sheet, how many assets and liabilities, and kind of independently verify that. So it's kind of like a sense check, a fact check, essentially, to make sure the numbers the company is reporting to the public are actually true and fair. So that's kind of like the high level role outline. But essentially what it means is, if you ever looked at a set of financial statements before, there's various lines. You might have buildings or property and equipment and various other bits like that, profit, expenses. You essentially go line by line and perform particular tests or procedures to make sure you have comfort over those. So, for example, if you're auditing Tesla, let's say, and Tesla obviously sell vehicles, right? You check a number of those kind of vehicle sales, maybe to invoices or contracts, the cash receipt, just to verify that they've actually happened, that they're not kind of fraudulent or made up, or there haven't been any errors. So you basically go line by line down the financial statements and check those particular balances. And at the end of the audit, you report back to management, saying these are the errors we found, these are the ones you have to adjust for, and bits like that. I think the next point was on the skills required.
Yeah.
So going into audit, I thought you have to be incredibly strong technically in accounting. That was my big, and you have to have a good kind of foundational understanding of accounting principles and how audit works. But actually working in audit over the past 4 years, I found the biggest skill, or the best skill to have, is actually around people. Not only internal in terms of managing your teams and project management, but managing a client relationship. Fundamentally, your work, you need all the information and support from the client. And it's a difficult relationship, right? Because you're kind of there checking that they've done their work correctly. And so it's a bit of a difficult relationship to navigate. And I found that kind of people skills aspect to be the most important, in terms of not only being able to be a great project manager and coach internally, but at the same time being able to kind of deal with clients with empathy. Because I worked, like I said, at Unilever on the finance side, and I had auditors asking me questions. It's incredibly annoying because you've got to do your day job and then you have these questions on top. And it's kind of, when you're an auditor, understanding that the individuals have their own day jobs, they have their own stresses, and you're kind of adding on top of that. There's a careful balance between being really considerate and trying to get as much information out of them as you can, to complete your work. So I think going in, I thought, there is a lot of technical stuff to it, but I think people skills is definitely one of the main things.